Has single nation defeated us? We defeated the Portuguese. We defeated the Dutch in a series of war. We defeated the British. We wiped them out. We've defeated the Americans. Real edge is how healthy you are. How many wives.
So, what exactly is the moral conflict? The moral conflict is a long running and deadly conflict that has taken place for over 5 decades between the Philippine government and the moral rebel groups. In this conflict, the fight is between the government of the Philippines and the moral Muslim rebel groups. The Moro people are mainly fighting due to lack of land. They believe there is a lack of governmental commitment in their territory for providing both goods and services to the people. They have also experienced social, economic, and political inequality. The little territory that is controlled by the Moros are filled with various mineral resources such as gold, nickel, and limestone, thus sparking the Philippine government's reluctance to let go of the Moro territory for economic development. This fight is to achieve their goal of establishing an Islamic state for the Muslim minority in the island of Mindanao.
But, you know, we are facing what we call a colonial milieu. Philippine government had treacherously imposed their colonial rule on us on July 4, 1946. What right do they have? They don't have right whatsoever to claim ownership of this. No.
The root of this conflict stems from the wars between the Spanish and Americans. The form that this conflict takes with the MNLF is a separatist movement within the southern Philippines that has actually employed guerrilla tactics and violence in its campaign for the creation of an independent, democratic Islamic state.
While waiting for Noor, we got a chance to meet some of his troops. Of his troops. So, ikaw, ilang taon ka na? Ikaw? Ikaw? 16? No, or? Ikaw?
16.
13.
17.
17? Okay, so...
The type of states and governments of the countries involved includes a democratic republic, constitutional monarchy, and a federal republic. The MNLF is a stateless nation that's fighting to create an Islamic state. The Philippines is a nation state and Malaysia is a multinational state that's working to converting it to a nation state. Australia is a multinational state and the US is also a multinational state. The Philippines in this conflict has also had influences from outside sources, such as the US, which is a strong defense ally, and the Australian government. For signs of de-evolution, the MNLF was the dominant separatist group until their demilitarization in 1996. Now that they have taken over, the Filipino government has negotiated with them. The MNLF is also fighting to lead the Philippines and create an Islamic state for the Moro people. They have created a Homestead Act to encourage Christians to move to moral areas in the Philippines, which created tension. In terms of spatial aspects of the conflict, the types of boundaries used in the area are not marked by physical boundaries, with the exception of one camp. There are no boundaries in the Philippines, besides the massive amount of water. Morphology actually does affect the conflict. The Philippines, as well as Malaysia and the US, are fragmented states, which can make it harder for travel and the connection between their states. For example, the Philippines often has to travel through the water. On the other hand, Australia is the compact state, which makes it easiest for travel and to get to the Philippines, since that is the ideal territorial mythology. This conflict presents problems on a global, regional, and local scale. Since the Philippines, Malaysia, US, and Australia got involved in the conflict, donating money and soldiers to the war has impacted the world as a whole. The Moro people are a group of the tribal Islamic groups. The Filipino government sending Christians to the region created an ethnic conflict on a regional scale. On a local scale, the Mindanao people were killed because of the Moro conflict, regardless if they were fighting or not, or just simply civilians in the whole ordeal.
Of the wrongdoings of his son, I am a Muslim. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!